Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Cosmic Compass. It's been a hot minute, but we're back. Life happens. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. This is a space for those who are walking the path of alignment, of truth, and multidimensional embodiment. And today we're diving deep into something that sits at the core of all manifestation, of all healing, of expansion, and that is coherence. Okay? Coherence is today's topic. So if you've ever felt like you are scattered, out of sync, like your mind, your body, your heart are all playing different songs, then this is for you. You're not alone. This is for you. We're going to unpack what coherence actually is, how to recognize when you're out of it, and how to actually return to inner harmony by drawing from the tools and the wisdom from the sages and spiritual teachers like Abraham Hicks, Crone, Lao Tzu, Deepak Chopra, and Dispenza, and many more. I'll weave that into today's conversation. And just know that coherence is more than just a concept, right? It is a state of being, and we're going to make it embodied and practical and real. And we're surrounded by other animals in the So what is coherence? Coherence means harmony. It means consistency or alignment, right? It's just another word for that. And when all parts of a system are working together in rhythm harmoniously, right? So in energetic terms, coherence is when your mind, your body, and your emotions, as well as your spirit, are all vibrating in resonance, right? Because we all, there's different frequencies, but there's no static, there's no cross signals, there's no fragmentation, right? And it's the difference between a scattered orchestra or a symphony, right? Random data versus a sacred mandala, overthinking versus knowing. And Abraham Hicks calls this being in the vortex, right? Being in the state of a vortex. And Neville Goddard would say this is when you are assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. And Crone frames it as the freedom from the subconscious limitations of fear and lack. And Joe Dispenza coins it heart-brain coherence. So that's where I got the term coherence. This is where the science meets the sacred. And Lao Tzu, the sage of the Tao, reminds us that when there is no desire, all things are at peace. And this points to the heart of coherence, which is alignment of the effortless flow of life. Apologies for all of the background noise. I am near a road. So when your heart rhythms become smooth and sine wave-like, your brain waves synchronize and your emotions stabilize, and you're able to tap into your intuition, in your clarity, and your inner peace. And the Heart Math Institute calls this being in a state of optimal performance and inner harmony, right? So it's not woo-woo. It's not woo-woo. Some people might call it woo-woo. It's actually measurable, right? It's trainable, and it's the foundation of spiritual embodiment. So what does coherence feel like? Because it's nice to have an abstract concept, but what does it actually feel like in the body? When you're coherent, you are present, you are focused, you are calm, you are intuitively guided, you're emotionally resilient, you're tuned into subtle energy, right? Whether that's downloads, patterns, synchronicities, and you're connected to your body and your truth. And this is really the state where a lot of healing occurs, where manifestation becomes effortless, and where creation flows. And as the Tao teaches, right, the sage stays behind and thus is ahead, and thus is at one with all. And when we stop forcing and start aligning, that's when coherence naturally arises. And really that is the basis for all manifestation. It's to not be in either or paradigms. It's to actually just come into alignment. So what puts us out of coherence? Let's take a stab at that. Why don't we stay in coherence? It's mainly due to distortion, right? And distortion isn't the opposite of truth. It's what obscures the truth, right? It's the static in the field. It's what is the veil over the geometry. It's the fragmented frequency that creates dissonance in your system, right? So really, distortion shows up when you are disconnected from your body. It's when you're caught in survival stress. It's when you've abandoned a part of yourself just to fit in, to keep the peace, or avoid pain. And every trauma, every fear, every unconscious pattern creates this sort of energetic knot which is this distortion in your field. And the good news is that that distortion is, and that knot is not a flaw, it's actually a portal. So when you're aware of it, you can actually do something with it. So how do we return to coherence? So step 1 is to pause and assume presence. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and just ask, what am I feeling right now? Right? Just notice without judgment, because awareness is not analysis, right? Just notice what you're feeling. You don't have to interpret it, just notice it. And this one morning, like a few days ago, I was feeling so off. I had this tightness in my chest, and I felt like this need to like control everything. And like that's an older version of me. I always feel like this older version of me that like wants to like assume perfectionism and like needs to control everything. But instead of doing that, instead of jumping to my to-do list, I'm like, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? Just sitting on the floor, grounded. Like, why do I feel like I'm behind in life based off of XYZ? What is the story that I'm telling myself? So I just took those simple moments, there's dog barking in the background, and just asked myself, what am I feeling? And then step 2, using the breath to regulate, right? I know this is so simple, but breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and then exhaling for a count of 6 to shift to a parasympathetic nervous system state, because your breath is the gateway to coherence. It is. For me, like, I thought that was so simple, but it really brings about so much emotional clarity. So anytime like I'm feeling like this anxiety looming over me, or I feel like, okay, I'm not feeling in sync with my higher self or my higher mind and my body's intelligence, what I do is I just drop into that state by breathing. It's so simple. It's so annoying, but it's true. And so once I, just become aware, start using the breath as that portal, I then have to reframe the belief. Right? So what is the belief that's going on in the background? Is it coming from a place of fear, or is it coming from a place of truth? And just knowing that is as simple as that. Like, does this come from fear, or does it come from truth? And there's many times where I catch myself thinking like, like I'll have like these disruptive thoughts or these OCD thoughts, and I'm like, wait, this isn't me. This is coming from like an overactive mind that is trying to impose these like self-imposed limitations that are not real. It's just an illusion. So knowing that that is something that I can place outside of myself and kind of externalize a little bit and bring that awareness to know that's not my truth. And how do you embody that frequency? So step 4 is embodying it. As a creator of your own experience and your own reality, really choose that feeling. Let your system really retrain itself to the frequency of trust, to peace, to clarity, to joy, to vitality, to those things that you really want to feel, right? Because you deserve to feel them. At the end of the day, like, it's just really giving ourselves permission to feel the things that we might have felt like stripped of, or we might have seen our family members or our loved ones stripped of, and be like, well, if they weren't able to feel this, why should I feel this? It's like, no, like, allow yourself the permission to really feel what joy is, what really feel like clarity and creativity run through you. And how do you take that sacred action, take that and form it into a sacred action? Really, whether that's sending a message, whether that's making tea, whether it's allowing yourself to rest, whether it's like really connecting with someone that you love and want to share it with, taking that action, coming from a place of sovereignty, but also coming from a place of truth and not reactivity. That's the most important part, is really being able to like go back into coherence, and then you take the action, and then you get those divine downloads. Then you start to get these synchronicities or these channelings, right? Because you're coming from a place of true embodiment, true alignment, and not from distortion, not from that static in the background. And that's when we really return to the sacred geometry of our lives. I'm going to have a full-on video on sacred geometry. I'm so fascinated by it, and I will get into it. But in this part, I'll just give a little snapshot that sacred geometry really is coherence in form and in patterns, right? When you meditate with like the flower of life, where you have like mandalas, these are actual symbols and patterns that entrain your brain waves and your heart rhythms and electromagnetic field into a higher order. And the more coherent your field, the more reality responds to you. And just underscoring that your body is not just a physical thing, right? It's electromagnetic, and it's patterned, and it is so divinely intelligent. And when you align your inner terrain, right, and through your breath, through nutrition, through your thoughts, through your energy work, you then become this living mandala, right? And as Rumi beautifully expressed, I love Rumi, oh my gosh. Leave a comment if you love Rumi. We have been given our own ears to hear things that the mind does not understand, right? And coherence really allows us to hear with those soul ears. I might have butchered that a little bit, but something along, good paraphrasing. And you're not just here to seek coherence, right? You're here to broadcast it and to walk into rooms and to shift the field with your own vibration. And that's you as a unique expression of the collective to help others and train back to their truth, right? You're not just here to passively take in information, you're here to also create with it. And that all starts from within, and that all starts with that inner coherence. And when you are fully coherent, right, and you feel like you're aligning to your truth and your authenticity and to your inner experience, to your outer experience, and showing up with integrity, that's when you really come home to yourself. That's when you come home to your center, and that universality really speaks for itself because everyone is part of that collective, but just unique expressions of it. So if you resonated with this, I would love for you to like, subscribe, comment if you liked it. And yeah, maybe leave in the comment like what is something that you return to come back to coherence to yourself. Could have said that in less words, but what is something that you return to? What is a way or a method or a tool or a visual that you use to return back to yourself and come back to coherence? I would love to know. So thank you. Welcome back. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.